Hello, I'm Grace, and welcome to How to Procreate! Yay! Woo! And we'll get right into the video. Okay, so you probably just got the app, and you're probably going to want to set your preferences first. So here is light interface and dark interface. Personally, light interface is a lot more useful because you typically are using darker outlines. So you also have the right-handed and left-handed interface, and then these are the dynamic brushes. If you have an Apple Pencil or anything that connects with it, I highly suggest that you use dynamic brushes. It just adds more depth to your drawing. The next thing is brush cursor. I highly suggest having your brush cursor on. It allows you to more easily use new brushes as you're going to have more of an idea of how much space it's taking up. And then the advanced brush cursor is just to help you with like different visibility and kind of pick out more preferences. To be honest, I don't suggest you really touch your pressure smoothing and kind of leave the rest of this until you have a hang or you want to, like, you know what you're doing, you know? So here I'm just kind of going through all the different stuff, so the like quick shape and stuff, like all of this we'll go through anyways. And then there's some stuff for the Apple Pencil that is useful, like sometimes if you like double tap the bottom you could switch to an eraser, but to be honest I personally find that annoying. But there's other different things, it's really just up to you, which is kind of nice about Procreate. It's very like for you, it's very personalized. Like if I were to use someone else's Procreate, it'd probably feel really different compared to mine. So now I would say pause the video here and just take some time to mess around with the settings and see what you like and what you don't like, and kind of just get a hang of it. A lot of what Procreate is for learning the program is just having an understanding of it, and this does take time. I've been doing Procreate for like 5 years. So next is the text feature, which can be found under the little wrench and under add text. So we're going to just go through and talk about it. So here are all the different fonts, the styles, and the design. So a lot of the fonts have bold, italic, stuff like that. And then you can also pick the sizing and the tracking and all of this, and the opacity. So if you want it to be a little bit transparent, you can also pick it so it's just an outline. And then the little 2 T's at the very bottom, in the bottom right corner, it will make everything either all capital or all lowercase. So that's kind of cool. So it has a lot of what you would find in normal typing things, just a little bit extra with the kerning, tracking, leading, and baseline. You can also import your own fonts because there isn't that many fonts. A lot of the brushes I've imported also are just personal brushes I've downloaded along with different stuff. So it really just depends on what you're picking. There's also different attributes, so you can put it more to the left, to the right, middle. So a lot of just what you would typically find and stuff you would like normally find in like a Google Doc. So next we have actions, which is when you click on the little wrench and you press add, these are what's gonna come up. So you have insert file. So if you have a certain file that you want to insert, you can. Insert photo, which is probably what you're going to be using more. So you could insert references and stuff like that. You could take a photo on your iPad. This is where you're also going to add text, and this is where you can cut, copy, and paste, or just copy the whole canvas onto another thing. So like if you want to take your canvas or your layer and copy it to another canvas, that's how you're going to do it. So next up we have canvases, and this is like your canvas size, so you can change the DPI and all of this, and you can kind of shape it with those gray lines. Okay, next up, I'm kind of going fast, I know. This is your other actions in Canvas. So if you click animate, you can actually animate and add little frames and stuff like that, and you'll be able to see your past drawings, which is really cool. And this, as you can see, you can play it, and it's quite silly, but it's really useful. Procreate also has its own completely just for animating app, which I'm pretty sure is called Procreate Dream. So next up is Page Assist, and it's basically just to help you draw and flip through your different layers more easily and kind of just have them, you know, out. So this is just me showing you it, and it only focuses on that one layer. So yeah. Next up is the drawing guide. So the drawing guide is very, very useful. There's a lot of different settings for it. Here you can see you can edit the drawing guide. You can change the opacity of the grid size, and the thickness. You could also have assisted drawing. So this is isotrick, oh my gosh, whatever. But it's basically the same thing, and as you can see, it has kind of followed structured lines that will help you if you want to do a certain drawing. Next up is perspective. And this is also, you could see, you can change the color of the drawing guide to whatever suits you the best. So perspective, oh goodness, you could also change the opacity and thickness. It's that line in the middle there. And this is symmetry. Symmetry has a bunch of different options, so you could change it all up. And if you want, you could probably do like little flowers or patterns or designs, and it will copy whatever you draw on one section and apply it to the other sections that it has highlighted. When you finish, make sure to go to your layers and turn off assisted drawing so that you don't mess anything up. Going back to the canvas tab, we're going to talk about references. So here you have your reference, and if you zoom in, you can draw while still being able to see the full picture. At the bottom, you could see image, and if you click on that, you could pick an image from your camera roll and allow that to be your reference. So it's very useful if you're trying to draw a photo of something, or you're trying to get a character page and you want your reference sheet. Lastly is the face, where you can actually make a filter using your camera, and there you could see me closing it. So next we're going to talk about how, going back to the canvas page, you're able to flip it horizontally, vertically, and it has all of your canvas information. Here you'll have your dimensions, different layers, what it is about the artwork, how many layers you can have, the different coloring stuff, and it also has the video settings, so you could pick which video quality you want, and it tells you how big the file is. And lastly is the statistics, which I don't know why I didn't show, but it's basically just about how you draw stuff. So next is sharing. These are all the different things that Procreate has, and it's very good to know what each of them do and the different like file types. Next is video. So here you could watch a time lapse of everything you've drawn and kind of see what it is. Sometimes it will save kind of pixely, so make sure you know you saved it good. And here you could pick a short length one or a full length one, and there you could see me exporting it, and boom. So next I'm showing how there's different opacities. The bottom bar is going to be your opacity, so you could see as I click down it tends to get lighter. That just means the brush is becoming see-through, so you will still be able to layer colors underneath it. And then the top bar with the little blue dots are the size of the brush. Here is how you get to do your colors, and I personally like to use the classic version. It allows for more color depth and more change. Also, if you click on the background color little check mark, it will disappear the layer. Same with your other layers. If you do that, there you could also duplicate, lock, and clear. So you can see me doing that there. And next, we are going to talk about how the lock layers are kind of just making it so it doesn't change. And then here I'm just showing you the different sizes of the brush and how it changes a little bit more in depth. So as you can see, it goes from being very thin to being very, very thick. And here I'm just going to black out the screen. So next we're going to talk about color a little bit more in depth as well. So you're going to click on that little circle, and this is the classic. So this is going to be your saturation between your light and dark, and this is going to be how vivid the color is, right? So here you could see it going from being very white to being very deep red, and here from going white to being very black. And here is how you're going to be able to switch between all of the different colors. And this is the color wheel that a lot of people tend to use, but I'm going to be honest, it's not that good if you're trying to get certain colors. It's very much easier to get it using the classic. So here you could find complementary colors, and if you click on the complementary, you're able to pick different things. So here you have split complementary, so it's got 3 different circles, so you're able to pick which ones you want. And then there's I'm bad at pronouncing words, but there you can see it's very similar to whichever color you're picking, and I'm gonna be honest, it's very satisfying to spin it around. So there's the triadic, which is 3 of the opposite colors, and then that is the tetradic, and that is 4 opposite colors. Next, you could see how there is a kind of like the vibrance of it, so between light and dark. Next is the values. I feel like you often see this when using online art programs, like web browser ones and stuff. It can be a little bit difficult to use. I would say probably stay away from it. It's kind of difficult. This is going to be where all your palettes are. You can name your palettes, and here are the palette cards, which are just telling you which colors they are. And here you could create a new palette, a new canvas one, and then really you're able to take a photo and also create a palette from it. It's very, very useful and very interesting. Here I'm just kind of drawing with the white, and you're actually able to change the shape if you hold down one finger or you hold down on the drawing long enough. If you click at the top and press edit, you're able to change its shape. You could see here I'm using the 4 blue dots to change the shape of the object. So clearing that, talk about the brushes. So if you click on the brush, you're actually able to see that there are so many different brushes. So it has your recent brushes, and you can actually name and label each of them. These are all personal brushes I have imported. Going through, these are all the customizability of the brushes. They're pretty hard to learn, so I would suggest looking up a video that goes more in depth about it. So these are all my different ones, and here I'm just showing you the customizability of all of it. This is going to be your smudge brushes. So you can turn any brush into an eraser, a normal brush, or a smudge brush. And that's what the smudge actually looks like. It's pretty good. Other like apps that have like pretty nice smudges, like I know IBS Paint has pretty good smudging. So you're able to add a ton. I think I have hundreds of different brushes, and you can easily import them by pressing the little plus when in the brush section. So here you'll find all the different layer setting things. So this is for shading or lighting, and they really just help you to expand your art. So here, if you click out, you'll be able to find a drawing, and I'm going to use this as an example of what the extra layers does. So you could see how with that, turning the opacity down and up actually changes it. So this is the lighting layer, and going back and kind of just looking at them, you're able to see how I've done my shading with it. So you could see that purple is done with multiply, and changing the opacity changes the shading, and you see how you're able to still see the background color, which is like that creamy kind of white color, but still get that purple shading going through. This is the light, the add layer, and that's what I used my lighting for, and it's very yellow, and it kind of just adds more depth. So you want to really practice using that. And then if you go there, you can kind of just change it up. It's very, very useful. So definitely practice using different layer types and different settings, and kind of just get a feel for how to use it. So next we're gonna click on the little wand, and here you could see the hue, saturation, and brightness. Changing these allows you to change your drawing and kind of color it differently. Next is the color balance. It's basically the same thing, but just a little bit different, and you can get different results from it. Next is curves. Curves are actually pretty hard to use. I suggest staying away from them until you get an understanding of it. And next is a gradient map, so you can create all of your own, and going through and clicking on them, if you press that plus, you could add different colors, which allows for different saturations and all of that stuff. This is the Gaussian blur, and if you click on the top, you could see that it could be a pencil or a layer. I don't know why it wasn't working, but typically if you click on it, you'll be able to do it. This is motion blur. It can be used for like a dizzying effect, and allows for different types of motion. This is perspective blur, so it will focus on an area while blurring everything out. And you can also do directional, so let's say if you put it to the left, it will be clear on the left and blurry everywhere else. And if you do that little blue slider, it will do the like effect of it. So this is noise, and it kind of just like pixelates it, and kind of like makes it have more grain. This is sharpen. I don't typically use it, but it's just to kind of make it more pop out and look sharper instead of blurred. Next is bloom. Bloom is to make things brighter and kind of give a glowing effect. You can see how the longer I push the blue line, the stronger it becomes. Burn is how bright it is, and then the transition is how smoothly it transitions from being bright to not bright. And then there's obviously size of how bright it is, or like the area of the light. Next is the glitch effect. So there's 4 different glitches. Here you can see that the stuff at the bottom allows you to change it. So you could see the different types of blur, and just like everything, Procreate is very consistent. So if you slide the blue bar at the top, it will give you more blur. If you slide it back down, it'll give you less blur. So it's really your choice, and these are very useful for glitching effects and like sometimes characters and stuff that I will use it for. Next up is halftone. So this is kind of like your comic book feel. You know, there's 3 different types. I'm gonna go through and show you them. And it adds texture and has like a very strong look to it. So it's definitely depending on what kind of style you're going for. This is chromatic aberration. It's that 3D effect that you often get where it's slightly blurry the edges and kind of just makes it look like it's kind of moving. I think it's very cool, and I tend to use it a lot on my stuff. And next we have liquefy, so you could see how liquefy moves it. And then there's all these different types of liquefy. You could also have the momentum, which is how far the push will go. So you could see I'm pushing lightly, but it's going farther. If I turn the momentum down, it will push less. And then it has the size, the distortion, which is how messed up it will look. So you can see how it kind of scatters away from each other and kind of moves. And then you have your size and your pressure, which is how strong your push is going to be. If you turn the distortion down all the way, then it's not really going to get all messed up like that. And there you can press reset and it changes it all right back. This twirl right just twirls it to the right. Then there's a twirl left and it's just going to twirl it to the left. You also have pinch, which will shrink stuff down. This is kind of used for like when you want to like pinch clothing and make like stronger streaks. There's crystallize, expand, and there's edge. This is also used for clothing. I like to use it to like pull the different like folds in it. And there you go, you have reconstruction and it fixes it all up. And you also have clone, which I don't know why I didn't go over it more. So the little S is your select tool. You can automatically select things. And then there is the freehand, which you're probably most going to use, where you could freely just circle what you want and it will put it. So there's add, remove, and fill color. So normally, that's the rectangle by the way, and then there's the ellipse, which is the circle. So you could fill the color. So this is good for if you have a big area and you don't want to just draw in the color. This will quickly fill it out for you. And then the feather, which is the amount of like how much color is going to be feathered or like kind of dissipate around the area that you selected. So here you can freely select it, and you're going to press copy and paste, and this will give you an exact replica of whatever is on that specific layer. So if you ever want to select something, you have to make sure you're on the correct layer. Here you could also flip it horizontally, vertically, rotate it, and you can make it fill the canvas. And then there is the bilinear, which is, these are going to be like which pixel it jumps to, because these are not vectors. Vectors are basically completely pixelless and is like very smooth. So they're used for like logos and stuff, but Procreate doesn't have that, but it does have these, and it will change to whichever pixels you go to. So if you select on it again, there's uniform, freeform, distort, and warp. So freeform kind of just lets you do whatever that is, and kind of lets you play with it. Uniform is very structured. You're not going to get that much movement. Distort is if you want something to look kind of flatted, or just have like, I don't know, I don't know. There's a warp, and as you can see, I kind of messed that up, but warp you can typically use to put like a logo on a color, a logo on a shirt or something for your character, or kind of just like make something look slightly distorted. And going outside of that, look at all these stacks you can have. You can make your own, you can name them, you can also put them on top of each other. So if I were to like go right there, that would put my stack and put it into that. So you can name it here, and then also you're able to select them. And then here I'm showing you how to make a new canvas. These are all the different pixels and stuff that you could do, and there's different types. So if you click on that, you're able to select certain drawings and kind of preview them and go through them. Anyways, that is all. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you learned something about Procreate that you didn't know before. Have a good day!